it's more efficient if you post the job publicly. The chances that you get the best candidate are much larger than if you only share it with your smaller network. So the founders and the early employees, and we have been resilient as hell. Like we have gone through a lot of hardship, and there's always a trade-off when you're an entrepreneur between focus uh, and and quick wins, quick gains. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, at some point, someone's going to tell you do this because it's going to pay off much better than what you're doing. It's going to happen always to everyone. And if you keep changing your track, then you're never going to have a track. And at the end of the day, you're going to be distracted.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today we have a very special guest with us. His name is Luis Verdeja. Hi, Luis. Luis is the CEO and co-founder of Jobartis. Jobartis is a job board and recruitment tech company. He has over 15 years of experience in executive positions, particularly in the digital sector. Under his leadership, Jobartis has become Angola's #1 employment portal. Luis, welcome once again. Nice to have you with us, and let's have some fun chatting today. Okay.
Thank you very much, Ivo. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm delighted to be here.
Hi, Luis. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Luis.
So,
okay.
Luis, let's start. I think we've talked before, and I think your entrepreneurial journey could be of inspiration, or could inspire a lot of people in our audience looking to innovate in the African tech space. So my first question to you would be if you could share what was behind the creation, what inspired you to create Jobartis in the first place, and what is the vision for the Jobartis portal since its inception? And please share with us a little bit of your backgrounds. I mean, I think it's important for our audience to have a glimpse into your early professional years here in Angola, and not just in Angola.
All right, sure, yeah. So when I after university, my first professional years were totally unrelated to the digital sector or entrepreneurial sector whatsoever. I sort of geared my career towards working at different international organizations. I worked for several years at the World Trade Organization in Geneva, then at the European Union, UN, several of them. And in that capacity, I came to Angola as an advisor in trade-related issues, an advisor to the government on regional integration, how to integrate with South Africa in trade matters. But I had an entrepreneurial spirit. I had already started smaller businesses back home in Spain in my early years, in my teenage years, and I felt that sort of fire inside. In Angola, this was 2011, 12. Angola was booming those years. Whoever that has been in Angola those years knows what I'm talking about. There were cranes all over the place. Everyone was discussing new projects. It was like a sort of a gold fever back then. Everyone was looking for things to do, and it was an amazing moment to be in. And I started looking at different projects. I actually started some other projects unrelated to digital space. At some point, I had the representation of the Real Madrid brand in Angola. So, interesting things, but totally unrelated. But I felt
Real Madrid, yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. But so that's just an example of a different project, But I felt that it was not adding value or creating value. I have to say that I also studied development issues, so I sort of had a social background as well, and keen in doing stuff that helps the lives of the people. And in Angola, looking for a job was a total nightmare. It was, you could see people everywhere walking around with their CVs, going to an office, leaving the CV, going through traffic, spending 2 hours to get there, 2 hours to get back. So it was a total nightmare. And in parallel, I had friends in Spain who had worked in the job board sphere as well. So the match became quite obvious. Additionally, in Angola, there was no professional job board, so to say. There were some initiatives, but none of them were properly done. So I thought the potential to help people's lives, to do something that I liked in terms of entrepreneurship, and to grow a business from it was enormous. So that's what took me to start Jobartis.
So the first version of the portal of Jobartis, what a year was it? The first
2013.
2013. Okay.
13.
So it completed more than 10 years now, right?
Recently, yes. Who would have said? Yeah.
So it's very, I would say it's very mature. So tell me, just following my first question to you. So what were the unique challenges by job seekers that you found? You already shared with us that it is, people needed to have everything printed out, right? So going, I don't know, by foot, hand deliver their CVs or resumes to the job seekers, so to speak, or job. So the companies that they're looking for. But what kind of other issues did you found initially besides that? I don't know if we matters of transparency or information. Could you just share a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So the burdens that were faced by job seekers were enormous. You mentioned one, transparency. Essentially, companies did not post publicly jobs, or very publicly, or there were very few means. There was the Jornal de Angola when they posted jobs, companies, which was accessible to some people, not to everyone, definitely not to everyone in Angola, only concentrated in Luanda to some extent. So lack of information, a lot of lack of transparency. People did not know what were the options, what their options. So that was a very clear one. Secondly, trust. Whenever there was a posting, and I remember there were many postings throughout the cities, scattered like ads on walls, random walls, like looking for a waiter or we're looking for whatever position. There were a lot of scams, and that so job seekers either did not have access to the open positions, or whenever they were available, you couldn't fully trust them. So it definitely those were one of the main tackles that the main issues that we wanted to tackle. Make it accessible to everyone, and knowing that they could trust the source.
Okay, so you were kind of acting as a third party to give a little bit of trust between everyone involved in the process of job seeking on the market labor.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Based on your experience, what significant impact has Jobartis had on Angola job markets? And could you share with us some success story that your platform has changed an individual life, for example?
Individuals, I don't know, every day we get a new story. Just so you have an idea, we have in our database, we have 1 million candidates nowadays. We have about 1,000 jobs posted at any given moment. So that means a lot of people with new opportunities being faced because of Jobartis. However, I do remind one very particular, which was at the very beginning. Because at the very beginning, whenever you're starting a business, you always doubt yourself. I mean, and whomever tells me that they don't doubt themselves, never ever, they're probably lying. So at the very beginning, we were trying to make noise, and we were going to universities, and we were trying to be on the radio and to be on TV, but it was not easy, and no one knew Jobartis at the very beginning. The first few months. So and you talk to people, Jobartis, so they didn't even know how to pronounce it. And I remember once the first employee that we got, who took him right out of university, and he came to me with a smile like this, all happy because he was coming to work by taxi, and in the taxi, some guy was talking on the phone, saying that he had a job interview because of Jobartis, and randomly, and this was like a month or something, or two, right after we started Jobartis, and it gave purpose to the whole thing. It just made us all think how great it could be, how much we could change people's lives, because they were facing things that they were not used to. So the fact that you put your CV in a computer online, and you click somewhere, and then someone calls you to have a job interview, that was life-changing for a lot of people. So we do have stories like all the time, but that one in particular was very, very key to us. Randomly on the taxi, just hearing about it. So
it's kind of I remember receiving tons of emails every day, and people seeking for jobs, and then you would be trying to filter all that, and it would be quite complicated and time consuming. And but I remember, and then you would have people sending you emails. This is my cousin, this is my uncle, this is my aunt, and you came as the filter for all that, a security filter. Yeah.
Well, yeah, totally. I mean, I was just talking about the candidates recently, but for recruiters, I think we were totally life-changing, because we were discussing the transparency issue before. One of the reasons why there was lack of transparency in the market is that any company knew that the minute they posted a job, they would face a wave of CVs coming their way through air, sea, and land. So their communications would block. Essentially, we created a platform that would act as a shield, and they can still receive all the CVs, look at them, analyze them in a more efficient way, of course, but not know who was. But the candidates do not have the personal email or the company email or the group email, whatever, of that person behind. So they can receive as many as they want, and they won't be swamped by the email. So totally.
Yeah, Luis, considering that, what kind of specific technologies did you use to make that process more efficient and more transparent in terms of both sides, the employers and the job seekers, and how was that adoption initially?
Mm-hmm. So since the very beginning, we started using an algorithm that would identify the best candidate, right? And that algorithm is, we have iterated over it throughout the years and throughout the time. That algorithm, which I'm very proud of, because when you look at the candidates that Jobartis says that are top candidates, I think it's quite accurate, actually.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that algorithm is made of several elements that say that nationality, years of experience, area of expertise, level of education, province of residence, languages spoken. So several criteria that are introduced in their profile by the candidates, And likewise, they're introduced in the job offer by the company. And the moment there is a match, then a lot of things happen. So we send the job offers to those candidates, the ones that have a matching profile or similar profile. But then the company receives all the CVs and all the profiles. And although we don't restrict that people can send profiles to any job offer, the ones that are matching are highlighted on top. So essentially, at a glance, at a first sight, the company can already very easily see which are the ones that are matching. We have incorporated other elements through the years. We included some AI as well. Some years ago, before the hype of ChatGPT and all that, for different elements of Jobartis. So, for instance, an employer within all the candidates received can search for keyword, and that incorporates AI because it incorporates several different elements. It doesn't only filter by the word, but by similar words and words that are related in sector-wise and in the content. So we have other elements of AI incorporated. And then at some point we included tests as well as part of the whole process. And I do believe this is something to go ahead with, but I think we were too early in the market, which actually could happen. I mean, not even job boards in Europe had testing incorporated in the job offers, and it was a bit too early. I think it was a bit too early to launch that. We tried it for a year or so. It didn't work super well, and then we decided to put it on standby and look at it probably in the very near future again.
All right. And we have faced, particularly due to the COVID pandemic, quite a challenge in the job, in the way the job can be performed, especially the remote challenges that were faced at that time, and they're still there. They came to stay. How do you adapt to that new reality, considering that now someone can live in Angola and perform the job in any geography virtually? How are you facing this challenge as well?
Well, if I got your question right, Vitor, I think because of the Kwanza value nowadays, that there's a big gap between Angola and other markets. It becomes very expensive to get, to pay for labor abroad. For any company in Angola, it's an issue to pay for labor abroad. On the other way around, I see a lot of potential for Angola to export labor. People are getting more and more qualified. The situation is improving over time, and Angola used to be super expensive, but now it's not compared to world prices. So there is a strong potential for Angolans to work for international companies elsewhere. I think there's certainly an avenue where there's a lot to be done and worth exploring, definitely.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
So just catching
think...
up. Sorry, Victor. Just catching up on your and before you, Andre, you were talking about. You mentioned that you incorporated in Jobartis platform the testing, right? As far as I remember, this is very common practice now. If you are on the European markets, and LinkedIn, for instance, has those testing features now. So you can test the knowledge of a candidate on Excel skills or basic, other tools, or if you want to test the knowledge of the, cybersecurity or programming or so on. So very basic introductory skills. So you had this years ago. So you started testing this feature some years ago, right?
Not exactly. So what LinkedIn has is you as a candidate can test yourself out of the blue on whatever skills. What we did incorporate was an automated testing in terms of the job the company was posting. So say the company was posting a job for accountants. So automatically Jobartis would generate a test for all candidates for that position
Okay.
for accounting. Okay. So not you as a candidate would not test yourself out in the blue, and that we would not certify you as a Jobartis test. It would allow the company to test the knowledge of the candidates for that particular position, accounting or marketing or whatever you mentioned.
Okay, I get it. It's a little bit different from what currently LinkedIn has. Yeah, thank you.
So there is this, and I think we all recognize there's this huge gap between the needed competencies and the competencies that exist in the market in Angola. So I think this is one of the biggest challenges, and I think that's one of the reasons why Jobartis is so successful. It's because you create this bridge. But based on your experience, what are the skills that are most in demand in the Angolan market, and how can you help with all those technologies that you're using? How can you bridge that gap to create a better offering to the market?
Right. So I think the skills that are more in demand, I would say that there are soft skills that allow you to build on those skills. So self-learning capacity. Because if I'm going to say skills, I would say, there are million skills. Everyone complains about Excel. Everyone complains about technical level of this and that. But the core of that is where we would need to work more essentially. So self-learning capacity. If we manage to improve the self-learning capacity, then we're all going to reduce the skill gap. Because it's impossible for job artists or universities or no one to fulfill all the gaps that are in the market if we don't go to the core. Okay. Having said that, there are areas that are where there is more demand from companies and lack of supply from the candidates, essentially the more technological ones. So all the programming, everything that has to do with IT, it is evolving, and people started from IT specialists, but like network specialists and more related to hardware than software. And I think the software skills are pretty much in demand, and there is I can see it improving a lot, but there's still a very, very clear gap. So but this was just one example. If you talk to an engineering company, they're going to say that hardcore engineering still, there's a gap. If you talk to so there are skills that are missing here and there, but as I say, go to a core. Try to help people how to develop themselves, which is at the essence.
So, and I kind of agree, because as far as I understand, there's this need to adapt a new culture to organizations in the market, so that people have the accountability of their own development, especially when they enter the market. So that what you're saying is that if we build and if we find this competence in people, then we'll have better employees, and we will be able to fulfill that gap between the needed skills and the skills they have these days. Just another topic. How do you see the competencies evolving? Because you mentioned the technology, but there's this huge challenge these days, and there's this quest for the diversification of the economy in the country. How do you see this happening in the next years?
Well, I think Angola is at a point now that it can, I mean, it can use a lot of its capabilities to develop essentially on agribusiness as a whole, the potential it has, and then a lot of agricultural related capacities as well. So that is definitely crucial. But I also see a lot of industry being developed. I see a lot. I mean, probably not at the levels it should be, but there was very little, and now I see industrial capacity being created for not too much value-added goods for time being. So a lot for consumer goods and FMCG, things like that. But that was not in Angola before, and now it's coming to Angola. So a lot of engineering, agricultural, and then of course it's not going to be different from anywhere else in the world. Technology, AI, web development, apps, all that, cybersecurity. So all that as well is absolutely crucial for the world. So I see those three main elements. But then when you develop all this economy with agribusiness, with industrial capacity, then you have to bring in the services to give services to its part of the economy as well, and financial services, which are not bad in Angola, are not bad, but the Kwanzaa issue puts it behind, and it's not fully integrated into the world economy. The stock market, which should open, and that should also open a lot of, not open, it's already open, but it's not fully developed. So there should be a lot of financial capacity being developed as well, legal services that come throughout. So there's a lot to be done, but I think that the core of it's going to be agribusiness and industrial capacity.
Yeah, I tend to agree. You have a vision that the development of the country needs to be based on the agronomy, and so that we need to fulfill that gap, and we need to find people that adapt to that situation. I remember a couple of years ago we had, if you asked any kid, he would say, "I want to be an oil engineer." That was the default answer.
And oil is still going to be there probably for another 30 years at least, and it's still going to be a cash generating machine. But we've had it for many years, and it hasn't really trickled down to the economy. So we cannot still hope that oil is going to be our answer. It hasn't been for the past 40 years. Why should it be now? So I think it's time to look for something else totally.
Because Manuel is asking something, but he's on mute.
Yeah.
Manuel?
Yeah, I'm okay. Are you listening, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have a question for you. You spoke about the need that we and the people have to improve constantly the skills that they have. And if we look at we can consider competition for what Jobartis does. If we talk, for example, regarding to LinkedIn, that are offering not only the possibility of people putting their CV, but also to some tools to learning, for example, for people to develop the skills. In case of Jobartis, how can you think in your way to address this kind of needs, especially if we look at the kind of profile that looks for Jobartis? How can Jobartis think to not about to compete, but also to support the people that normally goes to Jobartis to improve their skills? If we consider that we are like in the world that we are constantly to improve our skills. How can Jobartis in the near future, to address these questions for the people that we're looking for?
So absolutely. Well, at the moment, Jobartis does not really bridge the gap between the lack of skills and acquiring new skills. We're not there yet. We tried in a way. So I don't know if you know, but we created a company called Educartis a few years ago, which was essentially the same way that Jobartis is a marketplace for jobs. So Educartis was a marketplace for training courses. So for companies training companies, institutions to advertise their courses and get students through there. The second step of that company was to bridge the gap between Educartis and Jobartis, so between training and jobs. However, the COVID came, Educartis did not survive, so was set aside. There are ways that we have been exploring with all these online courses that are popular nowadays. There are several of them. Unfortunately, not so many in Portuguese, though, although there are, but the range is not as broad as in English, of course. However, we hope, and this is definitely something that we're looking into, to integrate these courses online and mostly free in Jobartis in a way that allows people to actually use Jobartis as a way of improving their skill set. However, as I say, as of today, we are not a training institution. It's not where we are just yet.
Yeah, thank you. Because what we have seen, and it's obvious for all of us, that the need that we have to improve our skills constantly, and we have like to live with the idea that the formal professions that we have can match or sometimes not with the kind of job offering that we are learning. And the same we are seeing in Angolan market, the way the things are changing, the more and more people are needed to do this kind of upgrade, and some other ways to change and to improve the kind of skills that they already have. But I think that there is a way. There is a way, and we are of course dealing with a global platform as well, like LinkedIn, and we believe that job artists can, in the way that market needs, can address in the near future this kind of skill, so support people to have this kind of skill sets. I have one more question. It's based on your experience and the profile of candidates that you have in your platform. What are like the most common kind of profiles or searching jobs that we have in Jobartis?
So the most common are administration jobs. Okay, so related to administration. Secondly, sales. Thirdly, engineering. And fourth, you go to more industrial manufacturing sort of jobs. So those are the first four categories, and we are pretty much open sector wise. We deal with, I'd say, every sector of the economy. We made a question of not being sector specific. We wanted to be generalists. And we've evolved in that capacity. We deal with pretty much every sector of the economy.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that's interesting. I think Manuel was thinking the same. I was thinking so. You just shared with us the most in-demand kind of roles, right, for all the industries. It's interesting that, for instance. Well, you mentioned engineering. When you mention engineering as one of the top seeked job offers or job posts, are you talking about software engineering as well? So more
not
IT
so
related?
Not so much.
Uh-huh.
Not so much. No.
Okay, so other fields of engineering like
Yeah.
civil engineering,
Civil,
petroleum engineering.
civil, oil engineer, agricultural engineer,
Okay, okay.
hydraulic
Okay.
engineer. So yeah, but software engineer definitely not so much.
Not so much. That's interesting. So because I was going to ask you, based on the data that you have on your platform, of course, what were the most in-demand skills, not roles, but skills, hard skills or soft skills? And that brings me to another question, which is, according to your perception or feeling, do you think the current job market is the gap between the hard skills is wider than the soft skills? As an employer, do employers feel that it's harder to get the best candidates because they cannot find the people with the right hard skills or the right soft skills, or both, or a combination of both?
So the market, it still has a lot to evolve in that regard. How do I put it? We we don't get asked for specific skills that much, other than the super usual ones. So Excel knowledge and English, when or a given certification. I don't know, Nebosh or something. So a very particular, and I would say specific certification when it comes to hard skills. When it comes to soft skills, it is the market is still not there. I mean, if you show a good candidate to the employer that does not have the right experience or the right certification, the employer is in most cases going to reject the candidate. Although you may tell them not, but hey, look, this guy may not be certified, but we've interviewed them and they're absolutely amazing. The guy is amazing, and you should give him a chance. Yeah, but he does not have this certification, and I want this certification. So the market is evolving, and I see progress in that regard, but we're still working in that, in helping companies understand the importance of soft skills rather than necessarily only hard skills.
Okay. And I mean, you as Jobartis, you act like almost as a third party, right? So you are a platform that connects both worlds. People who are seeking employees, or companies that are seeking employees, and job seekers that are looking for positions for their first work, second work, whatever. Based on what you see in the market, if you could change something for the better, what kind of tips or recommendations would you give for a job seeker, and also a couple of recommendations or things that you would like to see advance or mature for the recruiters?
Right.
What do you think?
So to recruiters, I would say be more transparent. What we have been discussing in the past. So be more transparent. There's still a lot of lack of transparency in the market. Most companies do not want to publish the name. Most companies do not want to publish the salary conditions. Most companies want to be as hidden as possible in the entire process. So I would definitely, it would be much better if the entire market was more transparent. Like Glassdoor. This is ages away from Angola still. So definitely be more transparent. That one thing. And be more transparent in posting jobs as well. And of course that goes in my advantage. But it's more efficient if you post the job publicly. The chances that you get the best candidate are much larger than if you only share it with your smaller network. So, be more transparent, totally. And then to candidates, make an effort to incorporate quality in everything you do. When you present yourself to an employer, to a potential employer, the CV is your first point of contact with the employer. And when I say the CV, I say the Jobartis profile. So if you have a badly done, badly written, bad grammar, sort of wrong profile, wrong CV, that is going to create a very bad impression. So be proper in what you do, and honestly, if you do things right, the chances that you're going to get a job interview are much better, much higher. And then try to create a storyline. Not just go and apply to anything you see, because your CV might be, I don't know, if you've been a waiter, so try to apply to positions that have to do with that, because if you apply to an engineering position, you're not going to get it, and you're going to be distracted instead of spending time on creating a good CV, a good profile for public facing positions where you could have something to say. You're wasting time on applying to other positions. So do things more properly, do things well, and try to create a storyline for the candidates.
Okay, you mentioned before that English is one of the most in-demand skills some employers ask. So would you recommend for job seekers to always have at least so we are in the Angolan market. Angolan market speaks Portuguese. So you would recommend to have always at least your Portuguese resume or CV, and also an English version of it, or do you think that's not necessary?
At the end of the day, what's necessary is that you speak English. And if you have a Portuguese CV, but your English is great, it's probably going to go through most filters, but you need to speak English. However, some companies, the HR responsible or the recruitment responsible might be only English speaking. That's not so common. So I wouldn't say the importance lays on the CV. I'd say that you actually speak it. So and if you have an English CV, CV in English, but you don't speak English, then what's really the point? So, it might help in 10% of the cases, but 90% of the cases that you actually speak it, which of course is not so obvious.
Okay.
Sorry,
So
I have just one question. I'm sorry. I just have one question and regarding something that Luis said before on the topic of the transparency, because I don't know if there is. I don't think it's just a transparency issue. From what I understand, most of the companies, they don't have the salary conditions, especially the salary conditions, which you said that they don't share. I don't think that they have normalization within the market. And how is Jobartis bridging that gap and making something happen so that these companies can also have a more competitive package for the job seekers?
So one of the consequences of the lack of transparency is that companies do not really know how much to pay. So actually, Jobartis, we gather a lot of information. We have a lot of information. We know who pays what, not the exact companies necessarily, but although we might, but we know what salaries are being practiced in different sectors and different positions. So this is like when a company asks us, this is something that we do as consulting. So we offer this service to companies. They give us the entire payroll they have, the 80 positions they may have, and then we come to them with the market benchmark for each of those positions. So this is like specific work we do, consulting work we do for companies. Additionally, we are in the probably in the next month or so, we are publishing a report together with Sinvestec from Universidad de Luciada, where we are setting an index to the market. So we are asking the market, and by the market I mean companies and candidates, what are the salary conditions, and we are going to create an index for to have an idea of what the salaries, the mean salaries are for the different positions. And this is something we are going to make publicly available and let everyone know.
Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Luis, you have now completed more than 10 years of existence. Huge congratulations for that. I think you are a proud.
I'm older now. I'm much older than I used to be.
Very proud of being part of this very, I would say, 5% group of survivors of companies that survived more than 10 years. What has been the success, if we can call it, other than lots of resilience to achieve this landmark? And go ahead and go on.
Well, I honestly think that you know the founders and the early employees, and we have been resilient as hell. Like we have gone through a lot of hardship, and not having money to pay salaries at the end of the month, not having prospects of anything good happening in the next few months, and we have insisted. So that I would say is absolutely key to surviving. Then there's always a trade-off when you're an entrepreneur between focus and quick wins, quick gains. You know, I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, at some point, someone's going to tell you do this because it's going to pay off much better than what you're doing. It's going to happen always to everyone. And if you keep changing your track, then you're never going to have a track. And at the end of the day, you're going to be distracted. But if you are too rigid, then you might be wrong, and that only and that rigidity might take you to bankruptcy. So right. I think finding the right balance, and I'm not saying that Jobartis necessarily found the right balance, but we found some balance that allowed us to survive. Meaning that at the beginning we were only posting jobs, and we did that for the first 3-4 years, and we gained the name by just being a job platform, and we were not a recruitment agency of any sort. But that gave us some relevance in the market, and it gave us recognition from everyone. Everyone knew us. It allowed us to have a huge database. So a lot of good things happened. But internet was not developing as fast, and at some point, we decided to move on to recruitment services and other sort of like consulting, I was saying, and sourcing and other sort of services that have allowed us to receive a lot more cash and survive because of the cash. But at the same time, if we had done that at the very beginning, we were probably had never been what we are now. So I think, and it's very difficult to have the right decision, the right point in time to decide when to do one thing or the other. It just worked for us.
All right. Yeah, well done.
Yes, very well done, Luis. Tell us, so what can we expect from Jobartis for the next couple of years? So short term, what can the market see from Jobartis in the next 2 years?
So very, very short term, this report that I was mentioning about, we're hoping to create, incorporating a lot of light to the market, not only in terms of salaries, but also in other questions relevant to candidates and employers. So satisfaction index we want to deploy. We want to share more information regarding the level of happiness from the side of the employee, recruitment perspectives from the side of the company. So a lot of questions, and this is a report we're hoping to launch, as I say, probably in the next month, maybe a bit longer, but not further than 2 months from now. So we're hoping to do a lot of noise and to actually bring a lot of light to the market, to the labor market in Angola. So that would be a first thing. And secondly, I think you guys kept asking me questions regarding that, but I think that's the future, bridging the gap, the skill gap, in different ways. So first, being able to assess better where the lack of skills lays, and secondly, bridging that and helping the market, train in wherever it's more needed, allowing possibilities that are accessible to most people to actually improve their capacities. I think that's where we should be headed, definitely.
Okay,
Thank
Luis. Thank you so much. We went into a journey from the inception of Jobartis and what motivated you and Adrian to start it. And all the adventures that you went through from the marketplace for training, for the transparency fight that you're going through to make the market more transparent, more informed. I think that in the end, your work these days is more to inform the market and make it more transparent, so that you can also work better with companies and make it and make this bridge and work better. I hope it works for you. I'm very curious to know about that study, and also the remark here comes to the point where we all are curious to see how we can bridge the gaps between the competencies that the market offers and what is needed. I remember you telling that we need to change the culture, we need to change the attitude, especially so that people can have the right skill to learn, and probably that's going to be the skill that is the more important, so that we can improve the market. It was an exceptional talk. I don't know if my colleagues have anything to add. I have to thank you in behalf of all of us, and hope that briefly we can talk. Maybe we can share some insights from your study.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed.
Absolutely. And I also want to say that I want to praise your initiative. I think it's awesome that you have this podcast. I don't know if you call it the same podcast if it's audiovisual, but anyway, in English, to make Angola more known to the world, and increase Angola's exposure. So congratulations to you guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Okay.
Luis.
Thank you.
We hope to have you here soon again. So hopefully we'll get a new invitation and you accept it, and we can hear back again to tell us all about the novelties from Jobartis, or anything related to other things that you are working on. So thank you so much.
Very happy to do so.
Thank you, Luis.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again. Thank you.